Hey, everybody. Looks like we've got some of our attendees here. Chad, do you want to give it just another moment or two before we start?
Sure thing. Yes. Definitely want to make sure everybody's able to join first.
Agreed. Get started in about 1 minute. All right. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for attending. Apologies in advance. I'm a little bit raspy. I've got the dual benefits of weirdly cold weather and getting just absolutely rocked by daylight savings time here. But my name is Gray Saladay. I'm the lead solutions architect with Opkalla. And I'm here today to help introduce our webinar, Unlocking the Next Generation of Cloud and AI, featuring our good partner, Expedient. Chad, if you would advance me. One more.
There we go.
All right. For anybody who's not worked with Opkalla, we're a technology advisory company that, we really, a lot of us have been in technology in one form or another for quite a while, and we are laser beam focused on helping customers make better technology decisions. A lot of us came from VAR or agent backgrounds, and I think everyone saw this ongoing need to take a step away from the vendor, kind of the vendor relationships, and move closer to our customers. So we are kind of at the nexus of what you might think of as a traditional VAR and consulting company and like an agent company. So we do, if you'll advance me to the next slide. We've got a pretty rigorous data-driven consulting process around helping customers kind of identify the right solutions to evaluate to meet a given business need, and then kind of helping them shepherding that solution through a 5-step process around requirements gathering, needs analysis, analyzing the different applicable solutions, and kind of making a successful decision. So we're very committed to that methodology, and we see ourselves as kind of a neutral arbiter of that conversation around making a technology solution decision. But today's conversation is going to be primarily with our partner Expedient. If we want to click through to the next one. One of the things I think we hear a lot is, hey, I didn't know you guys did that. We've got a very broad portfolio of solutions areas that we can help with. So I've got, on the architecture team, peers in cybersecurity, peers in infrastructure, connectivity, Microsoft. So there are quite a few areas you can see in the slide that we can help you with if you're, at an impasse or need to promote a new initiative or make some decisions. We're always happy to help in kind of a broad spectrum of IT solution areas. But with that, I want to hand it over to Chad Holcomb with Expedient to get the conversation started around cloud and AI.
I appreciate it, Gray. Thank you very much for the introduction. And of course, at Expedient, we appreciate the partnership with Opkalla. So my name is Chad Holcomb. I am the partner manager in the Southeast with Expedient, and Opkalla is my customer. On the call, we also have Mike Palmer, who is a solution architect, who you'll hear from a little bit today. And as well, later on today, you'll hear from Tom Cooper, who is an AI developer for us and the product lead for Expedient AI. And he's going to end off the whole presentation. James Resnick is also on the call. He's our local sales rep for the Southeast. So when you set a meeting, any customers that are on the call, when you set a meeting following up from this presentation, it will be with James and with Mike Palmer. So with that being said, we'll just move forward. First, we're going to talk about, who is Expedient. I want you to feel comfortable about who Expedient is when you set that meeting with us in the follow-up, and the cloud dynamics that we're seeing, as well as Expedient's cloud optionality and what we're offering to the customers, as well as some V3 version 3 updates of Expedient AI. So at Expedient AI, let me just tell you a little bit about Expedient first. We are a full stack cloud service provider, right? We concentrate on private cloud, public cloud, backup as a service, disaster recovery as a service, and co-location. So being the fact that we are a full stack cloud service provider, you see in the top left, we have enterprise AI. So it 100% makes sense for a full stack cloud service provider to have an AI solution in-house, because the main core competencies that we have are all around security of your data, compliance of your data, and the governance of your data, excuse me. And you'll hear about that more when Tom Cooper comes on. So a little bit about us. The hyperscalers, the big three, they're measured on the hyperscaler level. Everybody else is measured on the MSP 501 list. And we're proud to say that we've been number 3 in the past 2 years, actually, in a row, in the MSP 501 list. A little bit about the optionality that we have out there, right? So we are truly the best at both worlds, right? So with VMware, we are the partner of the year this past year. With Nutanix, we are also the service provider partner of the year last year. So with our cloud options at Expedient, we offer the optionality of both hypervisors, right? And so to you as a customer, when you're meeting with a vendor like Expedient, you can feel comfortable knowing that you're meeting with a vendor that's at the top of the partner level with both of those companies. We're going to give you the optionality to figure out what's the best path for you. Do you want to stay with VMware and stay on that path? Or do you want to switch to a different alternate hypervisor like Nutanix? And a little bit further into that, as far as our alliance partnerships, on the left, you'll see Cohesity, service provider of the year that we were recently, and that's our backup as a service offering. At the bottom middle there, you see Pure Storage. We're an elite partner with them. Everything that is not a Nutanix solution set with Expedient lands on Pure Storage. Anything that's Nutanix obviously will land on Nutanix. And then in the bottom right there, you see Zerto. Zerto is our go-to disaster recovery as a service, and we are the growth partner of the year with them as well. So you can see we have great industry accolades, great alliance partnerships with these vendors behind the curtains that make the Expedient Cloud work. So you're in good hands. So we're going to talk about the cloud real quick. So what CIOs, they have 2 topics that they want to discuss: cloud and AI. First, we're going to talk about cloud, and there's always numbers involved, right? 72% of companies have exceeded their cloud budget in the last year, right? So what is Expedient doing to lower that number, right? Well, we try to make things simple with simplification, right? With Expedient and purchasing a cloud and an OpEx model that's pre-built from somebody that already has the industry accolades that I just mentioned, 100% SLAs, predictable monthly cost, versus the DIY or the DYI, doing yourself in version, and CapEx, and trying to build your own private cloud and make that work. So feel comfortable in definitely getting a meeting with us after this presentation, and we'll move forward with let me ask you this: how do we actually do that even further? We remove the cloud complexity, right? So by offering 4 different clouds out there, right? So not every workload belongs on the same cloud, right? So some of your workloads may be on the private cloud, some may be out in the hyperscale cloud, some may be in colo, or even on edge devices, which are on-prem. Every workload belongs in the right environment, and we can help you achieve that and get your help you achieve the lowest total cost of ownership, really, for your environment. And you'll get all this all on one bill from Expedient. So that's an advantage to the customer. Is there anything that you want to add there? Anybody from the Expedient team?
Yeah, no, I think it was pretty well said there, Chad. I think the point really here is to identify the business needs and apply the appropriate technology to support that, as opposed to the other way around. A lot of times in the cloud space, we see a lot of decisions being driven by technology requirements, whether that be contracts or existing investments, things like that. But as you're planning towards the future, taking a look at the business needs first and understanding what are the end user compute requirements, what are the application latency requirements, things like that will allow you to place those workloads into the right silos that you're kind of seeing on the screen. So optionality is key so that you don't get pigeonholed into trying to make things work on a particular platform as opposed to placing it into the right place that works for the business.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that further in detail. That was perfect. And you just mentioned the optionality, right? So that's a great segue, right? So with those 4 different options that we give you, you also have the option of both VMware and Nutanix hypervisors across the board, right? So you're not pigeonholed, just like Mike just mentioned. And that goes across all of our services: private cloud, disaster recovery as a service, and the edge device, offering both hypervisors that are out there. The VCF migration license is something that we're offering to a lot of customers to give them 6 months of bridge licenses to move over to us, because you don't want to have to time up when your ELA is expiring. And we give you the ability to be worry-free and not have to do the transition immediately. We are first and second line of support with VMware issues. So just imagine making that transition and alleviating a lot of the pain and angst that comes with that transition. We take that away. Does anybody want to add anything there? Go on to the next slide. So what about remote offices and branch offices? We mentioned the edge device is one of the 4 cloud solutions. So basically what I like to call this is a hyperconverged office in a box that's on-prem at the customer site, right? With your storage, network, compute, and virtualization, all in a 5U box. That can come also, like we mentioned, in Nutanix or as well as VMware options. Industry-specific needs around that would be remote site workloads, some manufacturing use, retail locations, healthcare clinics, and shipping warehouses, because it is built rugged for manufacturing and shipping warehouses as well too. So if any customers are out there that are in this type of environment, then we would love to have an edge device presentation meeting with you. So we talked about the cloud. Now let's talk about our backup as a service and disaster recovery as a service options, right? Depending on the RTO and RPO for your workloads, everything is different, right? To help you get the lowest total cost of ownership out there. And we give you these options between Zerto, VMware, Nutanix, and Cohesity, depending on what you actually need. So to end my portion, what's unique to Expedient? 4 cloud options, 2 different hypervisors, as we mentioned. The co-managed services, you can manage as much or as little as you want. We have 15+ data centers where your cloud and your colo would be under the same roof, right? The bridge licensing offering that's out there, we definitely would want to have conversations with all the customers on this call. And we also offer free tooling as well to help for your optimizing of the sizing, et cetera. With that, that's kind of the introduction to Expedient, what we do. We talked about cloud. Now I'm going to let Tom Cooper, our developer of Expedient AI, take over the AI portion. Go ahead, Tom.
Thanks, Chad. Nice to see everybody. My name is Tom Cooper. I head up all of AI product development here at Expedient. That's our internal uses, our external uses, built solutions, agentic solutions, and even point solutions. So today we're going to talk about, if you're familiar with our initial offering, or this is your first time seeing it, some of the benefits of our current platform, which is lovingly deemed V3. But for those of you who've never seen it before, it is just the AI secure gateway. So it's our AI control suite. The solution is back-ended on security. So if you want to move to the next slide. The solution is based on security, and security was the founding factor in over 100 discussions we had with CIOs as we planned on building this solution to meet our clients' needs. The overall question was, what's blocking your adoption? Shadow AI or security was by far and away the number one concern. So the term shadow AI is just, hey, I'm using AI, my salesperson wants to get a leg up on the competition. They put out a opportunity email into ChatGPT, and then that email is trained on, and now competitors have the information of who we're targeting, and that grows bigger and bigger in scale the more wider and wider the data is. Maybe it's a client list somebody wanted to format. Maybe it is all of the opportunities in the pipeline so that AI can help make a decision on which opportunities should be tackled first. And through 2023 and 2024, as generative AI really grabbed a foothold inside of the enterprise space, this became the primary concern. Shadow AI, dovetailing, like I said, into privacy. Obviously, complex solutions from the security perspective, complex solutions from integrating API, from integrating AI, complexity and just how many models are out there. Another huge concern was observability in general. How am I to know how AI is being used if I don't have clear auditing, clear observability, clear understanding and governance? And that really dovetailed into, well, if we're going to talk about governance and regulations, am I SOC 2 compliant? Will I pass a SOC 2 audit if I'm using ChatGPT? If my developers are using Claude, if we have customer information going out that came out of AI or that was put through AI, am I still compliant? And then, if we're spending all of this money and all of this time on AI, while the observability is really nice for a compliance perspective, does it help me answer the question, am I getting ROI? A lot of people have seen the MIT review that's heavily kind of debated right now that says 95% of AI ends up being not ROI positive. But that is a really difficult value to extrapolate if you don't have the correct observability to understand whether or not your tools are being used, how much they're being used, who's using them. So these are out of what started with just 100 calls with 100 meetings with CIOs and CISOs 2 years ago to now hundreds and hundreds of demos and client conversations. These remain the top and foremost concerns. And I apologize, everyone. There's going to be a lot of next slides. I know that's a bit annoying, but I'll try to come up with a hand gesture for Chad, make him stay on his toes to swipe the slides over. So what is AI? What is AI control? What does our AI offering entail? First and foremost, at the heart of it is a secure AI gateway. The secure AI gateway is your gateway to all of the flagship models. So these are not open source models. These are OpenAI. These are Anthropic, Gemini models, Perplexity, and in some cases, Llama. And the gateway was built to house and add the observability into the pipeline in a way where it didn't need to be instrumented manually by clients. It gives you a single place where you can write to all of the APIs without rewriting your APIs, and it gives you a single place to understand and look for governance control. The second piece of our AI control suite are data connectors. Now, data connectors are, in our case, something that we had a benefit for just by being a data center. We had built hundreds of connectors to move data from off-prem to on-prem, from SaaS to private cloud, from private cloud to hypervisor. So really, we took those data connectors and we empowered them to be able to handle enterprise vectorization, converting files to text, OCRing them, and then making that available for AI. That really is the cornerstone for once you've gotten security under control with AI. Well, now I want to do what's best with that, which is use my data with AI with no fear. And that is the data connector's role when connecting to the gateway. Tied to that is our AI ready storage. So typically, it's very difficult to have highly available, reliant vector storage. It's as data stores go, it's one of the newest types of data stores. It's not fully widely understood by the traditional infrastructure teams. We take all of that out of the requirement of your team and we put it on ours. Our data connectors pull data into AI ready data storage, and then our chat clients, our agentic clients, our workflows, and our gateway all automatically connect into that ready storage and into the AI ready storage and automatically understand how to use vectorization for semantic search, not only optimal token usage, optimal chunk finding, optimal embedding, but optimal pathways to be able to solve some of these complicated problems in a much simpler way. Agentic workflows, I talked a little bit about. This is the heart and soul of the future of AI. While generative AI is amazing and it is almost ROI positive out of the box, if you have any developers using it or any people using it to generate marketing, to generate content, if you're using it for training. But agentic workflows are the place where the story changes from what cool things can AI do and can it help me be more efficient to how can we take these processes, these small problems that we've already solved with AI and orchestrate them in a way that they're happening automated. So whether this is a nightly workflow that gets data from Salesforce, transforms it, asks AI some questions, stores it in another format, sends out emails for sales forecasting and sales results, or an actual agent like we employ for ticket solving, right? We do 12,500 tickets a day. We have multiple agents that take tickets in. They have a set of tools to understand how other tickets are being solved, what statuses are available for them, and then what are the ways to get ticket information and understand account information. And then we orchestrate that all through an agent. So you can think of that agent as a human that you can use to expand roles without needing to hire new personnel, right? So when you're looking at traditional roles like HR, support, any kind of OSC rep, any rep where there's a ton of repeatable information rather than expanding that as your business expands. Finding ways to inject automation allows you to get the same, if not more value out of the staff you have today, while also getting more accurate information, more actionable, and, in our case, raising NPS scores. And then finally, private model hosting. As you start looking at the world of agentic workflows, really a couple of things become very important. One, if I'm going to take and make an autonomous agent who's going to do multiple tasks for me, I'm going to give it a bunch of tools. I need to have some understanding that that tool is going to be as close to rigidly answering questions the same way as possible. And while that's kind of counter to what people would think of AI, where AI is constantly changing and evolving. Really, when it comes down to log analysis, when it comes down to a specific outcome you're looking for, when you get to a place where you've dialed in a model, you can use private model hosting not only to lower the latency, right? So now you're getting your answer back faster. You have cost control, right? I have full token control. I can drive the external cost of tokens to zero, but also I get a level of code control in which I'm taking a executed version of a model and I'm executing just that model. So I understand the way it thinks and how it answers questions. So when it's able to solve problems for me effectively, I can essentially put a box around it and make sure that it's always going to answer questions that way. There are other uses for private model hosting, right? When you actually need to train a model, when you need to do more than give it data, you need to train it on data for forecasting. When you have, when you need an air gap solution that has AI, there's tons of other reasons for private hosting models, but they all tie in together to our full suite of products, and they all integrate with each other. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the architecture of how we built this. And I'll quickly go through these, not to bore anybody, but we've got our tailored chat sitting right in the middle, right? And external tools are going to pull information, whether that's from API, whether that's from webhooks, right? So you're feeding information from your AI gateway into, you can see FinOps, IAM, SIEM, right? So access controls, and places that need AI insights. On the opposite side, the gateway is your connection to the external models. So as you look at these models, putting an arrangement with each of these models to understand they're not going to train data, they're not going to store it, make sure they're not logging the data, make sure that they're GDPR compliant, they're SOC 2 compliant. As this list continues to grow, becomes a demand and an employee in itself. Using AI control, you can count on our AI compliance team to do that for you. So not only does Gateway do the routing, you can be assured that any model within our list of public LLMs has been vetted. Their SOC 2 report is being analyzed as if an auditor was doing it, that they're contractually obligated to us to not train data, and that they'll provide public DPAs to let you know. If you want to advance. So now, what's special about our AI gateway versus everyone else? Well, first, it's on private cloud infrastructure. It's not a SaaS service. And that buys you a ton of benefits that are needed in today's secure world. First off, if you just look at the picture, the vector storage, the AI ready data storage sits within the same infrastructure as the AI gateway does. That is one of the initial benefits coming right out of the gate that separates us from almost any other deployment, rather than counting on the external data policy of SaaS providers to do the correct thing at all positions during the transition or transmission of data. You instead have all of your AI ready data in the same private infrastructure, in the same private infrastructure as the AI gateway, but also as bringing in the private model hosting, bringing any tool servers you need. And as this path grows, all of the infrastructure that you're bringing in becomes not only secure by isolation, becomes faster by latency because they're by each other, but the understanding that you can pick this entire infrastructure up and move this to a deployed location, let's say an edge device, becomes a really compelling reason for people who need, like Chad talked about, to have edge devices inside of retail locations or maybe inside of manufacturing locations. You can see for the vector storage, we're ETLing in. I appreciate that. You can leave it. You don't have to go back. You can see that we're ETLing in using the data connector we talked about. All of the top SaaS providers, Salesforce, Office 365. So, whether that's SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, Confluence, Jira, ServiceNow, Slack. Really, while we support 40 top level through our agentic tool, which we'll talk about in a minute here, you can extend that to MCPs, which is over 2,000 different SaaS applications you can connect to. So we bring private cloud resources in. We host the entire agentic workflow tool inside of the same private infrastructure, and all of the calls from the agentic tool for AI assisting move through the gateway. Again, putting this single place where you get observability becomes more and more important the more and more pieces that you bolt on, because out in the wild, much like the DYI example that Chad used, right? Every one of those pieces has some kind of logging, and bringing them all into a single place where your either compliance team or your monitoring team can come in and understand how the tools are being used becomes imperative. Next, please. And then finally, like I said, private model hosting. Well, you could have left that one there for a second. And then the final step is private model hosting. Same thing, even in an edge device, which I don't know if Chad mentioned it earlier. I didn't look deeply on the slide, but those can have GPUs in them. So you can actually have private model inference and the entire environment deployed on an edge device, put into a location. And if If the external network is pulled, well, then you're actually air gapped. Next, kind of go over some of the tools since we're not doing a live demo. This is what our dashboard looks like. For those with a keen eye, looks a lot like ChatGPT or looks a lot like Claude. That is by design. You have the ability to use the chat interface as well as you would use any of the direct competitors, but knowing every request is secure, fully observable, not being trained on, and is dedicated to you as a customer. Next. We can talk about the models that come with it, right? You have the ability to run multiple models at one time. Probably the biggest ad, and this is only a month old right now, and I would assume everybody here is cheering. We have a smart model router, which is something the entire world, which is just the clients we have been asking for since we released our version 1 of the software. You know, the general idea is certain models are much better at certain tasks. For those of you that have any developers, you'll know if you tried to take Claude away from them, they would want to quit, right? Because they need Claude. The smart model router lets somebody who maybe doesn't know AI, who's at the ground level, just starting on their AI journey, without a bunch of training, based on the query they do, it'll automatically route to the correct model for them. And in the case that you care about having time-based, token-based usage, LRCs, we can design smart model routers that have any of those things built into the routing choices. In the same tool here where you see the models coming downwards, you could have your private and your public models in the same drop down, and you have full control over the granular control over who has access to the models through the admin dashboard. Next. Standard tools and some non-standard tools. You have some of the same features that you would see everywhere, like upload files. If you're on a mobile device or using, for some reason, you want to hold a picture, a document up to the camera on your laptop, you can immediately inject those into a chat. Vectorization happens automatically. To my research, there's not another platform on the planet that does this unless you build it yourself. So as you upload a file, that file is automatically has the text extracted, automatically has OCR applied to it, and automatically has the data vectorized so that when the model's searching through it, it's already in a format that AI knows how to use more effectively than just plain text. You can see some other fun options. Connect to a website, right? Let me just pull in some information on a website directly right here. I'm just going to paste in a URL. It's going to go pull it, vectorize that URL. This isn't a web scraper, as in like it's not going to spider through the site, but it will scrape an individual page for you and bring it down. There's the concept of notes, right? If you guys are building sets of notes within your organization or what we call a workspace, you're able to share those notes and immediately inject them. Imagine this as call notes and you want to come in and write an email, maybe the implementation guy, you can pull in the notes of the entire call to see what happened. Knowledge is really where things start unlocking. While we have enterprise data pipelines that we talked about with data connectors, knowledge is a way to have a curated, vectorized data set right here, right now, that I can use within the platform. I can hop over to my workspace, I can pick knowledge, I can upload 30 HR documents if I'm an HR person, all of our benefits guides, all of our days off, our times off. I can put all of that into a folder immediately, have that done in 3 minutes, and share that either through a custom model, which we'll talk about in a second, or directly as knowledge. And now, rather than have anybody at my company have to email our HR person again to ask, what days are we off? What days do we get paid? When's open enrollment? What are our PPO plans cover? What's the 401k plan? They can literally just either check this knowledge or use the custom model and ask AI the question, and AI will answer it for them, driving 80 to 90% of the standard questions going to HR into a place where they're instantaneously responded to, and in some cases more accurate because they're actually starting with the source knowledge and filling in the information. You can also see reference chats. This isn't available in any other solution I've seen outside of projects. If you have a couple of chats going where, hey, I'm looking at what's a good way to project manage this piece of software, and I want to know a good way to DevOps this piece of software. And I've got both of those to where I want it. Maybe I want to start a new chat with what's the right process to begin this top down. Let's grab these other two chats. Again, this is all about efficiency. Gains that you can get in your day-to-day employees' lives that maybe aren't typically seen through generative AI, where people previously were just either generating a piece of code or generating an email. You can start driving further efficiencies. Next. So knowledge we just talked about here, as you can see, these are all RBAC control. So they're controlled either to the group, to the level, privacy. You can grab multiple repositories. You can connect these by clicking knowledge. You can connect them to a model, which we'll talk about in a second, or you can even just type the pound sign, and this will automatically drop up and let you pick these models. So again, the idea would be, as you've grown data repositories internally from your organization that are useful, they can start being shared, fully granular controlled, but providing immediate access down the pipeline. Next. Now, this is really where AI is heading now on the path to agentic, right? So the idea is, as you can see, the drop down for tools become an incredibly useful piece or a piece of the arsenal in your AI tool set. In our case, you can see we have company documents. That is one of those ingest pipelines, a data connector pulling in all of our SharePoint, pulling in all of our Confluence, pulling in all of our knowledge base. And rather than me need to know where a document is, I would just flip on the switch, come in and say, hey, tell me about our PPO plans. It'll automatically know to look in the HR data. It'll automatically get that data and pull it back. There's no hoops to jump through. To a bunch of people on this call, but probably Opkalla at the very top, right? The RFP answer has become a key tool for us in driving efficiency. So while this one you see here is for colocation, in general, the act of answering an RFP, even though it had potential sales benefit to it, is one of the most painful things to happen in the sales process. It's a 3-week process. It brings people like me in, the CTO in, CIO in to answer, 30, 40, 100 questions. What we've leveraged AI incredibly successful for is to take all of our previous answers and drop them and have them vectorized into a data store so that we can provide a new RFP and have it automatically do the default answers, but then even take it a step further. And we built a tool that analyzes the entire RFP, identifies the golden questions that are most important to this RFP, and then puts more time in interacting with the user responding to not just get the boilerplate answers that we had previously, but actually have insightful, meaningful answers to the questions that matter most to the person that's most likely going to be reviewing the RFP. If that sounds like a dream, if it sounds make-believe, it's because it is a dream. It really takes a 3-week process down to a 1-hour or 2-hour process, which are the types of wins that you can get across the board. And typically you would have to buy an entire kind of sales enablement package tooling, RFP software to do this, which typically costs more than AI does for the whole organization. I'll call out another fun one here. You see edit image. This is a new thing in the world of AI. Not only can AI generate an image, the biggest complaint was every new request for AI for the last 2-3 years has been generate a new image. Now you have the ability to say, now this image is here. Let me edit this exact image. Maybe I want to change this person's eyes to blue. Maybe I want to make them holding a cat instead of a dog. Maybe I want the cat to be a hairless cat because, that'll make the picture really pop. Those types of things in the past were, let me keep trying to build a prompt to make it work. Now it is, let me take the picture that I liked that came out first and edit it. Tools are customizable. Tools can be deployed in the workspaces by employees. Tools can be deployed as code by the admins in the back as functions, or tools can be co-managed by us in a server that's outside of the interface, so that if you want to have a rock solid control over who can edit it and you have a wide set of admins, we can move those both pipelines and tools outside and co-manage that space for you so that there's 100% security provided and no editability. So this way you can force things like PII, redaction to happen in the pipeline. Next, please. That was as fast as I could explain tools, everybody. It goes way, way, way deeper, and we definitely don't have enough time to go into all of the use cases. This is, for me, the crowning jewel of our offering right now. I think the industry knows what custom GPTs and assistants are because they're pretty popular amongst ChatGPT and Claude users today. But our implementation of custom models inside of workspaces takes the best of both of those and expands upon it. There's not another solution that does what this does for efficiency. Enough of that is evidenced in how I mentioned custom models in almost every other slide that we were doing, because all of it revolves around, at the end of the day, can I make a model that a user uses, in this case, my Expedient messaging model? I can pick a base model, so it'll start with any model I want. I can give it a description. I can make it public to my company. I can make it private just to me. I can make it available for groups. I can give it a custom system prompt to make it act as a specific role in my company. And we all know how powerful this is, but I can do it for my employees so they don't have to do it. Think of an email writing model. Think of a coding model. Think of a onboarding model where the experts and the managers put together a highly effective prompt, put it into a model, turn that basically to a mini agent. And the part that you can't see here is at the bottom, I can connect any of that data to this custom model. I can connect any of my tools to this custom model. I can turn on image editing, image generation, web browsing access to any of my custom models I make, and then I can deliver that to the organization in a place where, right in the place where they're going to drop down and pick a model today, they can find this custom model. Like I said, it's the value of a mini agent created this way. We have them created for HR, for some of the pre-call planning, for sales when we don't have the agent fully interacting. We have these built for our marketing team. We have these built 10 or 15 of them for our OSC team. Every single implementation ends up becoming a unique way to solve a problem that an expert knows how to solve it. And there's just a ton of value here. I won't stay on this forever because I could for the rest of the time. So Chad, go ahead, switch for me. Okay. So now let's talk about agentic and workflow, and then this magic new world of what is agentic workflow. So an AI agent at its core is something that is autonomously executing based on a set of directions. So that could be from email, it could be looking at context of a queue, it could be invoked through another process, but you could think of an agent as something that executes multiple workflows and multiple tools. So in our case, we have a ticket solver, right? It's a chatbot that sits out in front of our agents. They can type in to ask how are tickets trending. It will go in and look at tools and say, I'm going to pull back all the tickets. I'm going to look at what the status of the tickets are versus the queue that they're in. I'm going to see what state that they're in. I'm going to go to every ticket individually. I have a tool to summarize that ticket. And then I'm going to provide maybe to a management personnel, what is the state of all of the tickets? But then on the opposite side, I have a OSC employee who wants to answer a ticket. That's a ticket coming in where, hey, I type in the ticket, request comes in, I type in the ticket number, I get an automatic technical and executive summary of the case that's been happening so far. Thousands of hours saved, a kind of start of shift, end of shift. Those are agents. A workflow, an AI assisted workflow, or just a workflow is something that's ran deterministically. I'm running it nightly. I'm executing it myself. I'm hitting it specifically with a webhook. But you can just think of this as the wild west of getting data. It doesn't even need to be vectorized. You may want to go into Salesforce, bring data in from Salesforce, make some actions based on that data. And a good example would be how I use this personally. I will go into Salesforce and bring in the entire company's AI sales profile, all the sales that we've had. I have that all tabulated from Salesforce, which I find it difficult to get it from Salesforce in the way that it's stored today with all of the custom objects. So I built a workflow that does that. And then as a part of that workflow, after it's transformed the data and has the data that I want to use it automatically generates an insight email by looking at that data, seeing how the day sales, week sales, month sales versus year sales went. And it generates AI insights and it sends those out either monthly or in some cases bi-weekly, depending on who the people are, right? This is a place where I was personally spending an hour a day messing with 10 spreadsheets in Salesforce, and probably on a monthly basis, 4 to 8 hours, I'm building all of my monthly reports to get them out, just enacting one workflow, which took me a couple of weeks to build and perfect, saves me 45 hours, right? That is a tremendous amount of time. It's the one tool that if you pulled it away from me, I wouldn't be able to function in the same capacity I do today because I've built up so much optimization there. And then finally, an agentic workflow, kind of a made up term. It is what happens when you have an autonomous agent that has multiple other agents and multiple other workflows that it can execute. You could think of this as a full flesh seat replacement as a human. So as we've hit our capacity, we have 30 OSC reps answering first level tickets. This is the place where I'm going to start seeing if I can get more efficiency by using AI to stretch the efficiency of my 30 instead of have to hire new bodies in. It's really where you can start seeing a ton of value at the management layer and at the individual contributor layer. Next slide. Yeah. So I just want to give a couple of examples here. This is very hard to demo without demoing it, but we have built our automatic sales meeting planner. The design of this was to increase revenue, better use our sales resources, onboard people faster, take what we know are the best practices from Sandler and use them at scale, make this cross visible across the organization, and really make our results more professional. And this went through the exact process, which we call crawl, walk, and run, that I would expect all of you to go to. This started out as a prompt that people were using. Make me a pre-call plan for this call that's coming up. I'm meeting with these people. I'm selling them AI control. Here are the outcomes. Use Sandler. That was just a prompt. That turned into some tools we built. That turned into a custom model, right? Ton of value. Now we had multiple sales folk around the thing saying, hey, I'm meeting with this client. Here's their URL. Here are the people I'm talking to. Build me this process. To now having an automatic agent that's actually plugged into Salesforce, looking for the new opportunities on the calendar invites before they're done, generating this pre-call plan, which would normally be hours of work for a salesperson to do, and delivering it to their email so that they have something directly to review before they get on the call. The effectiveness of this has been greater than we can anticipate. We already pride ourselves on being a good Sandler shop, but the amount of acceleration you get when you can take your reps at all levels, junior, mid, and senior, and make them operate the same way a senior would in preparing for a call has just had a tremendous impact on the bottom line, almost immeasurable, but a totally measurable outcome on just efficiency. I think 1,500 hours sounds like we're over our skis a little bit, but it's not. It's probably short of the real number. Next slide. Okay, talk a little bit about the observability platform. I probably put this slide out of place. It should have been first before giving you guys the example one, but this is what the observability platform does. You can see total tokens, prompt tokens, the amount of response tokens. You can see broken down by user. You can see broken down prompts and tokens by users, prompts and tokens by model. And then what you can't see below this are the actual request, response, and time for every one of the prompts that come through the system. So as you face challenges for compliance for regulatory reasons, hey, we had an email go out to a client that's now subject to an audit. The auditor, in the case of SOC 2 and pretty much any data compliance, the questions are easy. Where did the data come from? Who had access to it? Where did it go? You just have to give me the artifacts to prove those things. And the problem with traditional AI right now is without logging the request and the response, which none of the enterprise providers do, they don't provide that access to you. You could never provide the artifact to answer it. So you would just be in violation of SOC 2 or whatever regulatory body you're talking about now. Until now. Now you have the ability to pull those artifacts. We can keep them as long as your regulation requires. We do it by default a year, but if you need it for 7, we can keep them for 7. Next. So we'll quickly flash back to the original questions, right? Shadow AI. These are the things that are stopping AI adoption. How do we handle shadow AI? Well, we eliminate it with security, right? Easy access. We put public LLMs into a place that's integrated and that all have DPAs that are contractually obligated. You have no risk with the public LLMs for their data being trained on, but you also have the benefit of all of your AI data existing in your platform instead of the remote platform in your private infrastructure. We simplify the complex technology by giving you all of this deployed. This isn't a colo, go manage it yourself. This isn't, hey, stand me up Kubernetes, somebody help me with my deployment. This is a full managed service. All of the complexity we've talked about is handled for you. Not having security and observability is obviously answered by the fact that you have observability and security. As ridiculous as that sounds, everything is built on the RBAC from your IAM provider. So whether you're using, Entra ID or you're using Okta, as an IDP, we're able to pull that data across, secure RBAC across data. Even when we're pulling in something like SharePoint, that data automatically is limited to the users that have access to it. And then finally, uncertain ROI, we solve that by giving you not only access to see the logs so you can know who's using it, but we help you through agentic and through models start building solutions that are ROI positive from day one with demonstrable ROI. Go ahead, next slide. Talk quickly about implementation as we're running out of time. It's really a 3-phase process. Sometimes it's a 5-phase process, to be honest with you. But generally within 7 to 10 days, we have your whole platform up. We work with you to integrate with your SSO. We do that white glove with you because that is traditionally difficult for people. We configure access to all of the models and we make sure your observability is set up. Then we move into phase 2. If you have any enterprise search pipelines, data connectors, we start building all of those for you to bring in your one-way data pipelines to attach them to AI. And then finally, phase 3 is true automation, right? We help you build models, custom models that act as mini agents. We help answer your questions as to what's the best way to use stuff, how to get the best value. And then most importantly, we unlock your ability to start using workflows and agents, which is truly the highest form of automation and integration. Next slide. Talk about our resilient promotion. Did you want to take this one, Chad?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. So as with AI, with all other data, having structure in your data, and we did a webinar about this last week, having structure in your data is important. Having your data able to be connected is important. But the moment you've built business processes that rely on that data, well, now making sure that data is always available becomes as important of a part of the puzzle as the AI is itself. So whether that is backups for your SaaS platforms, you know that they say they're highly available, but we see what happens a couple of weeks ago when AWS goes down or when Azure goes down. So making sure that having a plan to make sure that data is available is incredibly important. But most people don't link that with AI, but we're a data solutions provider and we're an infrastructure as a service company. So we have put together a promo to say, hey, if you're looking to do disaster recovery, if you're looking to do cloud data protection, new or existing, as long as you have a min spend on your core services, we'll basically comp you the basic AI control solution. So one, great news if you're already using us for DR, for backup, for colo, talk to your rep. that's a really good way to get some AI for free. And even though I built it, I'm happy to make sure you get it for free. If you're a new rep, if you're a new company, then we can figure out the best way to get you both. You can go ahead and go to last slide.
Perfect.
Actually, I think we can skip the use cases. I think we're good.
Okay.
We're out of time.
Hey, great. I don't know if you want to turn it back and see if there's any questions that any of the customers, prospects have.
Yeah, definitely. If I think we have 3 minutes left, if anybody's got any pressing questions, I'm happy to, let's see, take you off mute if you want to raise your hand, and we can either address them live or if you want to drop them in chat, whatever suits is fine by me.
We're also happy to get on a call and discuss anything in
Yeah,
detail with
definitely.
you guys for sure.
Yeah, so if you've got a TA that you're working with already, if you're current Opkalla customers, if you want to reach out to them, if you want to reach out to Jen, we'd love to take the conversation down the road with you. I really appreciate everybody taking the time out of their schedule today to join us, though.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you for the partnership.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
I guess.